Hello, good evening in Europe, good noontime on the East Coast in the US, good morning on the West Coast. This is John Paval with Access Arts Live, bringing you the weekly roundup of big stage productions, operas, orchestras, ballets, and the like, big choral works. This week, we have a long-lost opera that no one has ever seen before, which you get a chance to see. We have Bruckner and Wagner coming to you from way out in Siberia with the Tomsk Philharmonic and several other lively and interesting live streams coming up from both the United States and from Europe with different orchestras, top conductors, top composers. The picture there gives you an idea of the range that's involved. You can see Martin Fröst there on the clarinet. He'll be playing. You can see Randall Gusby on the violin there. You see conductors like Cristian Machelaru, Simon Rattle, and others. So let me get right to it. But before I say anything else, remember, if you're watching us on Facebook, click the like button for the video and we'll send you an invite so you can follow us. If you're watching on YouTube, please click on the subscribe button just below the video. If you're watching us on our other platforms, don't just like the video, like us, subscribe to us or follow us on X, TikTok, Instagram, or Threads. And in return, we promise we will get to you more than 1,000 live links to live performances online in 2025. We're already well on our way. So let's get started first with this full-length opera that I am sure you have never seen. It's not often that opera lovers get to discover an entire full-length opera which they never ever heard of. But this Friday, February 7th, you can, with Opera Lafayette's production of Edmond Dédé's Morgiane. That will be on Friday, February 7th at 7 p.m. in the evening, Eastern Standard Time, 4 in the afternoon on the West Coast, 1 in the morning in Europe, but maybe worth staying up for, especially if you're French, because this opera was composed in France, down in Bordeaux. And it will be at 11 in the morning, Saturday morning, Australian Eastern Daylight Time. Certainly worth spending a morning enjoying. All right, this is a production of Opera Lafayette in partnership with the New Orleans Opera Creole group. The conductor is Patrick Dupré-Quigley. And the Edmond Dédé, the composer of this opera, was a fourth generation free person of color born in 1827 in New Orleans. I think born about the same time as Brahms. And he ended up composing more than 100 critically and popularly acclaimed works for the French stage. And this opera, Morgiane, is his magnum opus. It's a 4-act French grand opera on themes from the story of Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves. So it's like an adventure story. Anyway, let me tell you a little bit more about Edmond Dédé, because I can tell you a lot more about the opera. They're not giving away that much information about it. You got to tune in and check it out. He was born in 1827. He moved to Paris in around 1857. So he was about 30 years old. Some people say he moved there in 1855. That was when he first visited. He took lessons at the Paris Conservatory, studying with Jean Delphin Allard and Fromental Halévy. If that means something to you as a lover of French opera. He worked, and then he went down to Bordeaux, where he went to Bourges first for a couple of years. Then he moved to Bordeaux, where he was. They made him the assistant conductor at the Grand Théâtre in Bordeaux. And after a few years, he took over as the conductor and also worked as a conductor of orchestras at other local theaters. Remember, this was a time when you didn't have film and television. I mean, the main form of entertainment for people was going to the theater or to the opera. I mean, those were the big draws. So he was working in the heart of arts and entertainment at the time. Married a French woman in 1864. They had one child, Eugene, who also became a composer and a conductor. And he only went back to the United States once, which was in 1896, some 40 years after he had left it behind, when he was well advanced in age, to do a few benefit concerts in New Orleans, which is where he went to. So this opera, which he composed, is the earliest known opera by an African-American composer. These performances this month are the world premiere of this opera. And the score itself was completely unknown until 2007. So if you're interested in opera, let me show you a picture of the man himself. You know, these 19th century pictures are not all that impressive, but here is the man himself, Edmond, Dédé. And, you know, the thing is that in France of that time, people just, especially if you were an artist, people didn't care what your ethnic background was. I mean, they're literally different. Let me give you an example of another very popular figure from that time, the guy who wrote The Three Musketeers. Here's Alexandre Dumas. He was a person of color, and he wrote this most French series of novels about the Three Musketeers, these swashbuckling Frenchmen. People didn't care in France in those days. What they cared about was, you know, what you could do, what your talent was, what your ability, you know, how good was the music, how great was the show that they went to see. That was their focus in those days. They were not yet infected with the sort of 20th century scientific racism virus which arose. Anyway, I commend this to you, to all of you who are opera lovers. We will cut this out as a separate clip and make sure that it goes to all the opera loving people before Friday, probably a reminder on Thursday that this is coming up so you can check it out. Oh, it's free of charge, but they do want you to register. So we give you the link, and you have to, I would, if you see this and you're an opera lover, I would click on the link we give you and register sooner rather than later before they close the registrations, because sometimes that happens. They close the registrations for regular ticket buyers, and then the virtual viewers get closed out too. All right. Enjoy it. What do we have up next? Okay, yes, we have up next an offering that I really didn't understand all that well. I'm not sure, but let me give you a proper introduction for it. Mozart meets American music on Friday, February 7th, in a concert staged by the Frankfurt Radio Symphony, mixing two Mozart symphonies with music by Aaron Copland and William Gant Still. I'm not sure why they're doing it, and I'm not sure what the relationship is. This is the Frankfurt Radio Symphony, Friday at 8 in the evening, European time, 2 in the afternoon on the East Coast, 11 in the morning on the West Coast. It's on YouTube, free of charge, being broadcast from the Alte Oper in Frankfurt. The conductor is Ricardo Minas, and on the clarinet is Martin Fröst, whom we're very familiar with up in Stockholm. He's appeared a number of times with the Royal Stockholm Phil, and I think he's the head of he's the chief conductor of the Swedish Chamber Orchestra. But he plays around everywhere. I mean, he's played with all the major orchestras. In 2022, he was voted classical music, the International Classic Music Awards Artist of the Year, not only for his music, but for his humanitarian works that he does. And he's heading to the U.S. in next month to do a U.S. and Canadian tour, a chamber music tour. So that's the soloist. Now, what's he going to be the soloist for? Well, let me give you the program. They're doing Mozart Symphony in A major, and then they follow that with Aaron Copland's clarinet concerto. Okay. Then they do Mozart Symphony in C major, the Linzer Symphony, and they follow that with William Grant Still's First Symphony. William Grant Still was the first African-American composer in the United States to get a a legit orchestra performing his music. The New York Phil performed it back in 1935 with his Afro-American Symphony, which was a blend of spirituals and blues. The conductor is Ricardo Minassi, who is the principal guest conductor of the Ensemble Resonance at the Elbphilharmonie in Hamburg, and also the artistic director of the orchestra at the Zurich Opera House and of the Teatro Carlo Felice in Genoa. So, and he's going to be conducting the Orchestra of the Age of Enlightenment in Figaro at the Glinberg Festival this year. So he's a very operatic kind of guy. So they say he'll be very dramatic in the way he conducts the Mozart and the American music. And you can tune in and check it out. But I still don't see the connection between Mozart and Copland and Still. I just, maybe that's just me. If anybody does, leave a comment. You know, we live stream this, but then we retransmit it to about, I don't know, 30 or 40 Facebook groups of people who love classical music and opera and things like that. So if any of you know, if any of you see the connection, let me know. I'd love to know what it is. So, but you can check it out and maybe you'll find out during the concert from the way it's conducted. So let's move on to the next offering that we have for you. Now, here is this will be Simon Rattle, and we're back to Mozart again. So Mozart lovers have two bites at the apple on Friday, and well, you're going to have to choose between them. It's one of these double headers where they're competing with each other. Friday, February 7th, Simon Rattle leads the Bavarian Radio Symphony through Mozart's last three symphonies, one right after the other. If you love Mozart, you will love this concert. This is on Friday, also at 8 o'clock in the evening, 2 in the afternoon on the East Coast, 11 in the morning on the West Coast. This is not the first time Simon Rattle, Sir Simon Rattle, I should call him, has conducted these three symphonies by Mozart. He's done it. I just took a quick look online. He's done it before with the Berlin Philharmonic, with the Elbphilharmonic in Hamburg, and I'm sure other places which may not have been live streamed, may not be online. Now, so he knows what he's doing. If you want to hear these done well, this is an opportunity. And if you don't know Mozart or you don't really like him that much, hearing Rattle conduct it may change your mind. The thing about these three symphonies is, I think it was in about 1848, just a couple of years before he died, Mozart sat down during the summertime, like August, and started composing. And the next thing he knew, he had these three symphonies. Symphony number 39 in E flat major, Symphony number 40 in G minor, and the Jupiter Symphony, which many people consider his greatest, Symphony number 41 in C major. It was his last. He didn't know it, but he would never write another symphony. What was left came out. And so this concert, if you're a Mozart lover, this is Mozart's symphonic farewell to you as a listener. I wouldn't miss it if I were you, if you're a Mozart lover. I'm not saying whether I am or not. Anyway, so that's that. Enjoy it. It's free of charge. It'll be on YouTube. Now, I have no doubt that Rattle is up to the challenge of conducting Mozart symphonies. And I want to point out a contrast here, because this next conductor, I think the question in this next live stream that I'm going to talk to you about is the conductor up to the challenge? Saturday, February 8th, you can watch conductor Igor Berendeyev take on the challenge of conducting Bruckner and Wagner with the Tomsk Philharmonic way out in Siberia. Is he up to it? You'll have to tune in to find out. He doesn't have competition from other symphonies as far as I know, but you never know with some of these symphonies because they don't let us know until the last minute sometimes. This will be at 7 o'clock in the evening, KRAT time, which is Siberia time, which is 1 in the afternoon in Europe, 7 in the morning on the East Coast, and 4 a.m. on the West Coast. They'll be doing Bruckner's Symphony No. 7 in E major, and then they'll be doing, after the intermission, they'll be doing 3 different overtures to operas by Wagner, Tristan and Isolde, the Meistersinger, and Siegfried. So this is very challenging work. Now, you know, most people who really know much about music know about this relationship between Bruckner and Wagner. Bruckner just adored Wagner, and Wagner liked what Bruckner did, but it was unequal. I mean, it was you can almost see from looking at those 2 photos that I show you, Wagner's so sure of himself, and Bruckner not so sure of himself. Bruckner called Wagner the master of masters, and it said that he went to see Wagner's Tristan and Isolde in Munich in 1865, and he loved it so much he kept the program for the rest of his life as this sort of sacred memory of the experience. And then sometime after this, he sent Wagner his 2nd and 3rd symphonies, asking Wagner to evaluate them, and Wagner was too busy to do it. So Bruckner then, instead of just sending it, he went to Bayreuth, Bayreuth, I guess is pronounced in German, but Bayreuth is how we would. But anyway, and Wagner just kind of like riffled through the stuff. You know, he looked at the Symphony No. 2 in E minor, and he said, well, it's quite good. And then he took the Symphony No. 3 up, and he said he seemed very impressed by that. And so Anton Bruckner then dedicated, wrote on the score of his 3rd symphony, dedication to His Excellency Richard Wagner, the unrivaled, world-famous, and outstanding master of poetry and music, in the deepest admiration. So these are 2 greats of Germanic music. Igor Barandayev is associate professor of the chair of opera and symphony conducting and chief conductor of the symphony orchestra of the Russian State Orchestra at Kosygin University. Is he up to it? Tune in, find out, and let me know. I would love to hear comments from people afterwards. Now, to tune that one in, that's not on not on YouTube. We give you the link. You go to the news page for the Tomsk Philharmonic, which we give you the link to, and then there'll be boxes, windows going down the page. The top box on Saturday, February 8th, will be the box for this concert. So you click on that, and that gets you the live stream. Okay, so enjoy that. Good luck. All right, and good luck to Igor. I mean, he's bit off a lot. We'll see if he can chew it. Okay, we have 2 more pieces to tell you about. Moving right along here now. This next concert involves. It's interesting. It's sort of like these guys are moving around from one concert to another, but doing similar things. So I have a proper introduction for this. In something of a turn of musical chairs, conductor Christian Macellaro and violinist Randall Gooseby will be meeting to play Wynton Marsalis and Florence Price with the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra on Sunday, February 9th. Why is this so interesting? Well, let me tell you what they're going to be playing first, okay? Macellaro is the conductor, and Gooseby is playing the violin. He's a hotshot violinist. This is a good concert. They're doing Wynton Marsalis's Southwestern Shakedown from his Blues Symphony. They're doing a piece called Poem by Chausson. Then Randall Gooseby will be playing Florence Price's Violin Concerto No. 2, which is very interesting, and so is the Wynton Marsalis interesting. And then Macellaro will be conducting the very much loved Dvořák's Symphony No. 9 from the New World. You know, that's the one that has that go la da dee 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 dee, and nobody really knows whether it's that was actually an original American folk song or whether he made it up based on some American folk songs. Anyway, so let me talk you through this. Macellaro, he's a Grammy Award-winning conductor, if you don't know him yet. And he's been the music director at the Orchestra Nationale de France since 2021, and will continue that job until 2026-27. He has also been the chief conductor of the Köln Philharmonic, the Cologne Phil, since 2019, and he's going to be stepping down after the end of this season. Okay, he's conducted at top opera houses and orchestras. His bio says he's conducted more than 90 symphony orchestras around the world. So what's he doing in Cincinnati? Well, he's in Cincinnati because he's taking over because Louis Langret, who was the music director there, is leaving, and Macellaro is taking over starting next year. Okay, so where was Macellaro last week? Well, he was in Cologne, and he was conducting a piece by Wynton Marsalis, his Concerto for Orchestra, which was commissioned by the Köln Philharmonic. So Macellaro knows Marsalis inside and out. Last Saturday, I think it was, he was conducting Marsalis in Cologne, and then this coming what is it? Is it on Sunday? I think it's Sunday. Yeah, I think it's a Sunday program. Yeah, this Sunday he'll be conducting Wynton Marsalis in Cincinnati. Okay, but we're not done there with the connections. Okay, because now we come to Randall Gooseby. Okay. Now, last Saturday, Randall Gooseby was with the Detroit Symphony Orchestra with Christian Reif conducting. And what did he do? He performed Florence Price's Violin Concerto No. 2. So he has this down. In fact, he recorded that concerto with the Philadelphia Orchestra with Yannick Nézet-Séguin conducting back in 2023. So Gooseby is a bachelor's, master's, and artist diploma graduate of the Juilliard School, who then also studied at the Perlman Music Program, where he studied with Itzhak Perlman, among others. So he's a hotshot. He knows what he's doing. It shapes up to be a great concert, but I just think it's interesting that one weekend both of them are doing similar music, and then they get together and do Marsalis and Florence Price in Cincinnati. These people, they all know each other. Anyway, so I can commend that to you. It'll be free of charge, and Macellaro was a great conductor, and Cincinnati's lucky to have him. And Randall Gooseby is a great violinist, and if you heard him last week, well, maybe you don't need to hear it again, but it's free of charge anyway. And if you didn't hear him last week, you know, if you're in Europe, that last Saturday's concert was at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 2 in the morning here in Europe. I couldn't stay up for it. I was beat, but I can listen to him this week because it's going to be at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Cincinnati time, which will be 8 o'clock in the evening in Europe. A perfect time for a concert to tune him in. So that's that. I hope you enjoy it. Okay. We have one more to tell you about, and then we are done for this week's roundup, unless other things turn up when the weekend comes along, and they may, because there are orchestras in Germany that may not tell us until the last minute. There's the Gulbenkian Orchestra and the orchestra in Madrid that their websites don't show what they're doing yet this weekend. They may well be live streaming. There's the Moscow Philharmonic. There's the Mariinsky Theater. There's the St. Petersburg Philharmonic. And good luck finding out what they're doing in less than, say, 24 hours before they do it, because they just hide it under a bushel. I don't know why. Anyway, the last thing we have to tell you about is a Valentine's Day concert. If you didn't get to hear any of the other music, well, if you missed all the other orchestras this week, it's not too late to catch the Scottsdale Philharmonic's Valentine's Day concert, playing, among other things, Franz Liszt's highly romantic Liebestraum No. 3. Oh, lieb, so long du lieben kann, so long du lieben kann. that is my Valentine's Day gift to all of you. I do like to put in a little bit of singing. Anyway, they'll be doing, the conductor is Vanja Gyumar Nikolovsky. The pianist is Nicole Pesky. It's at 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. It's in Arizona, Phoenix, which is 6 p.m. on the East Coast, midnight in Europe, and 10 in the morning, Monday morning, Australian Eastern Daylight Time. They'll be doing Borodin's Polobzian dances, Beethoven's Consecration of the House, Offenbach's Orpheus in the Underworld, Wagner's Flying Dutchman Overture, and then finishing up with the Liebestraum number 3, sometimes referred to as Dreams of Love. Folks, I hope that you like some, one, or any of all these terrific live streams we've told you about. Well, terrific. I don't know. They may be of varying degrees of quality. But remember, if you're watching this on Facebook, click on the like button, and then we can send you an invite. And then all you have to do is click on the invite, and you'll be following us. Subscribe to us on YouTube by clicking on the subscribe button. And don't just like this video on our other platforms. Like us. Follow us on X, TikTok, Instagram, or Threads. I hope that one, some, or any of these offerings this week inspire you, uplift you, or just show you a great time. We'll be back with a roundup of chamber music later in the week, and tomorrow we'll be certain to give you a roundup of all the organ recital and organ concert live streams that are coming on. I see that we do have some people watching us live today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Drop us a comment and let us know any suggestions you have, if there are things you'd like us to do or not do in these live streams. If you know of other live streaming performing arts companies, we'd love to hear about them, especially those that are doing dance or theater or artistic circus. We're very heavy on classical music these days and on opera and a little bit of ballet, but we would like to be covering as many live streams of the arts as possible. Ciao for now. Have a good week.